I'm locked. I'm locked in this format. Why? Why have you locked me in this upright format? I guess that would be a Google choice. Hello, interwebs. It's the exercising Granny here. Hey, I did my 20-minute workout today. Oh my God, I'm so unfit. My wife laughs at me. She does it with me. She doesn't break a sweat. She at the end she politely says, "You know, you're doing those wrong." And then she shows me how that the stretches that I was doing weren't stretching anything. That I was just basically I was doing some kind of weird dance art instead of actually the exercise I was supposed to be doing. So she showed me how to really do them, and now I hate her more than I have ever hated her because it hurts. How was your workout? It's good. It's good. Yeah, I did it today. I got it done today. Jane joined me, which was very, very nice. Always nice to have Jane join me. Even if she points out that I'm doing things wrong and wimpier than they should be done. But I made her do we did like this ab thing today. Oh my God. I think they say abs. I say ab because it's all just one big jelly mold to me without the mold part. So that's done. I've been doing lots of thinking, lots of thinking these days, and trying to again a lot of this tech bandit stuff and this burn and learn stuff, and how I'm trying to sort of like figure out my game plan as I go along. And of course, I realize that a big part of my difficulty with stuff is that my entire life I've been an actor basically my entire mature life. Mature, I put that in quotation marks. So I've been doing this since I was like 16. I've been doing this professionally since I was like 16. So my life has always been basically about reacting. I mean, the joke about the acting thing is that acting is all about reacting. The reality is acting is all about reacting to what comes at you on a daily basis. So you're constantly the phone rings, not anymore. It's all text now, but the text rings and, you end up having to do something, that you hadn't planned on doing at the beginning of the day or the beginning of the week or whatever. So things just get thrown at you as you go along. And I've always resented and hated that to some extent. But the reality is that's how I run my life. That is so ingrained in the way that I do things now that, what are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at the dog. She's lying on the floor with her head under the.
Let's go have a look. Let's go.
No, sorry, I moved her.
Should we share this with the class?
I moved her because I found her ball.
Oh, okay. You've moved her. So I come up, I won't find the dog with her head under a thing anymore.
No.
It's all right. It's pointing at me. It doesn't have to look at you.
Okay.
Jane, unlike me, does not like to be seen sweaty in post-exercise. Weirdly enough. How about that for time wasting? Huh? Look at that. We've been doing a little bit of Lego organization. And when I say we, I mean Jane and I instead of doing work. Like, how bad is that? We're sitting there like, which head goes with which Lego thing? This is the beast. This is the beast that was causing the trouble. Here you go. What's up? What's up? What's up, beast? Yep. Someone wants to play. Jane, you better get that dog out of here. All right, I'm going back into my basement because my coffee's down there. Although it's nice and warm and much warmer and cozier up there, I've got to say. So anyway, Jane joined me for exercise today. That was kind of lovely. So talking about the planning and stuff. So I've been trying to figure out, like, how do I get this Tech Bandits thing working better? How do I, like, newsletters? I'm trying to get a newsletter out because I just feel like that would be useful for me going forward. I love the idea of just getting like a little email once in a while that just says, "Oh, look, I found this. This is really cool. Check this out." And I mean, it's not like people can't find this stuff themselves, but I just think it's just kind of, it's something I found interesting. I often find that my sort of value add, I suppose, is that I'll take unrelated things and connect them in a way that I find interesting. So I just thought I'd like to be able to share them on a regular basis. So I have a mailing list over at thetechbandits.com, which I'm sort of slowly building and getting wrong. I just emailed the other day. I emailed everybody on our Christmas list, the Tech Bandits, including all of our monkeys and parrots, like all of our corporate stuff, Jane's film production company. I emailed everybody the Tech Bandits list, which was of course, not what a lot of people want. A lot of execs at film studios don't want my long rambling emails about, how cool it is that dinosaurs have buttholes and things that they've discovered in fossils and things. So probably not the best email to send to all of Jane's corporate. She was very happy. Anyway, so we got a lot of unsubscribes on that one. But I want a system where I can email people. I was saying to Jane, I would just love to be able to just send an email. Like, I don't want all these freaking complicated MailChimps and all this crap. I'd like to just send an email to people and say, hey, check this out. But you can't really do that when it's 500-600 people or whatever. So I'm looking into better ways of doing this, and I'm finding that MailChimp is like a barrier to this. I'm trying to get rid of all the things that get in the way of me just being able to spontaneously throw stuff out at people and things. And even the Tech Bandit stuff, I was writing show notes, which I loved doing, and I really wanted to share the show notes with the mailing list, but it was too complicated to move it from WordPress to the MailChimp and all that. Anyway, so just working on all that kind of stuff. So there's that. So that's the sort of stuff that I've been thinking about and working on right now. I have work is going to start again at some point. I don't know when. But there's all sorts of like contractual stuff going on and things. So it's this weird holding pattern that COVID has caused, along with lots of death and misery, I suppose. But yeah, it's just interesting. I was talking to an old friend via email before this, and she was just saying that that she was sort of struggling with just this weird sort of monotony of these days that she's not allowed to go out really, and she just ends up, the big mission of the day is to make dinner and sit in front of TV and eat it, So anyways, so rambling as always, but yeah, so I'm just trying to figure out, I feel like this is an opportunity, this time is an opportunity for me to figure out like a structure to this weird Tech Bandits obsession thing that I have. And also I wondered, like, is there a way to tie in this? I mean, can I make this educational somehow? Because the whole point of a Burn and Learn was I was supposed to learn something while I'm doing it. Well, Emparador, I don't know if you're in here today, but Emparador, almost every single time I've done one of these, Emparador has asked me a question and given me a topic, which has made me sort of clamber onto a little soapbox and pontificate about this stuff. And I just thought, well, maybe it is a burn and learn. It used to be that I was burning and learning at the same time. Maybe there's the burn part where I do my exercise, and then this is the learn part. Like, this is the part where we discuss where there is a topic that would be good to talk about. Hello, Zolan, and hello, Maker Viking, and hello, what does Zolan say? Oh no, I'm not talking like an what's happening? What's going on? Nice t-shirt. Isn't it great? This is an old school Red Giant t-shirt that R.M. Rabinowitz was kind enough to give me because I said, can you get me one? Who have I got in here? I should say hi. Baz, isn't that mailing thing something Jerry Barnacles can help you with? Yeah, probably could. I should definitely ask Barnacles about it. Megan, I love this community. It's nice to all sharing an interest in the same things. People returning to it every day. It's been a real lifesaver. Thanks, David. And the fans, you guys are awesome. It's true. You're awesome. It's true. Really. I mean, not quite as awesome as me, perhaps, but certainly awesome. I mean, combined, you're almost as awesome. Zolan, I built a mail system where I could mail a specific address and it would auto forward to anyone who was subscribed to the list. Oh, really, Zolan? But how much of that gets like spammed and stuff? Like isn't the whole promise of MailChimp and all these things that they're somehow going to stop you from getting, spam filtered or whatever? Apparently I'm fantastic. Thank you, Dark Sprocket. Your name is fantastic, Dark Sprocket. I've got to say, Dark Sprocket is a very good name. Tammy Paquin says, WP had an add-on for mailing lists. Would that help? Yeah, Tammy, thank you, Tammy. I've got and thank you for your sensitive toothpaste recommendations, by the way. Tammy, as always, my dental angel. Dental angel? Does that make you a tooth fairy? Has recommended a couple of sensitive toothpastes for me. Let them follow you down the rabbit hole. Yes, indeed. So, look, I would love to do... Sorry, so Tammy, WordPerfect add-on for mailing lists. Yes, I have an integration with MailChimp that I have on Word. So when you go and sign up, thetechbandits.com, I'm sorry, this is shameful marketing, but thetechbandits.com, the front page, there should be a little mailing subscription thing where you just throw in your email address, and you'll start getting the emails that I'm just trying to figure out how to send on a regular basis. See? Imparador once again has a question. So Imparador, I don't know if you got this earlier, but I was saying about you that you always have these great questions, and I thought maybe the learn part of the Burn and Learn is this part here where we can talk about things. Maybe I should have topics in advance that I can bring in. Yes, there you go. Tammy's my tooth fairy. I miss SGA too. It's true, Roxanne. I miss. To be fair, I miss McKay. More than probably anyone. Kenny Ken says, "Yo, legend. I like the way you're going with that." Blaster Master. Lately, YouTube's been recommending me videos of you from 10 years ago. You know what? Because I looked better. That's why. Because 10 years ago, there was a lot more hair. That's just rather fabulous hair today. What is going on with this? That is quite magnificent today. I mean, it's a little far back for my taste, but he was a great character. He really is. Miss McKay more. No, you don't, Roxanne. I miss him more. Okay, what was Terabyte was saying? I'm with you. No, there was something before that. Imperator says, how are you doing? Question of the day. Have you heard about technocracy? Do you think the type of government is possible? I don't know much about that, so I will have to look into it. What is the definition of a technocracy? Is that a government run by technology? No, that's got to be a technologically run. I don't know how that works. What is that? Could someone let me know what that is? I don't think I can get in and look things up while I'm doing this without screwing it up. David's hair needs to hurry up and turn gray so he can complete the Bernie Sanders look. I know, it's so true. The sad thing is I look like my granddad. It's what not that my granddad wasn't a dashing man, obviously, but it really is startling how much I look like him. It's funny. I'm on this cousins WhatsApp thing where they all share photos and stuff, and of course, recently it's been a lot about Bryce, my uncle, who unfortunately died of COVID very recently. And amazing man, amazing guy, brilliant British. He was a psychiatrist specialized in old age, and in old age, I think it was old age psychiatry and also postpartum psychiatry as well. So number of books, but his dream was always to be an actor. So for like 30 years, he was in plays at the Tower Theatre in London, and they wrote an absolutely lovely obituary for him that was just spectacular. Okay, so decision maker or makers are elected by the population or appointed on the basis of their expertise in a given area of responsibility, particularly with regard to scientific or technical knowledge. Whew. Yeah, that would be interesting. It would certainly be interesting. I mean, it would be nice to have people in power who know what the F they're doing, if that makes sense, and who can delegate that power to people who have the skills. The problem is, I feel like, look, it's that age-old quote of anyone who wants to govern is probably the last person who should be governing. So, what do? Do you drag people out of business, out of their businesses, out of their technological specialties in order to come and do the governing? I suppose you could in a way have, once a month, once every couple of weeks, maybe you all hop on a Zoom chat and can help organize stuff. But I feel like in a way we already have that. I'd love to get rid of some of the. I would love to get rid of some of this. Get rid of the money in the political system right now. I mean, it would be wonderful to have a system that is less responsive to large amounts of money and donations than it is to the wants and needs of its population. One of the things that came up recently that I'm sort of delving into now, which is quite interesting to me, is sort of the oil and gas side of stuff, and agriculture and methane, and just this whole what are their roles in this sort of global warming thing. So sorry, I've gone a little bit off topic, but the point being is, in a way, I think we got to be careful that if we're bringing in those specialists, those people who are focused on specific areas of expertise, are they not going to be biased towards those areas? I mean, are there going to be? I mean, one of the things we need to do, I think, and the things that we're beginning to see more and more, is that they're generalists. In a way, you want a generalist who knows a little bit about everything, enough to know what to ask and who to ask about that information. So maybe not a technocracy so much as, what would be the best thing for education? for education, for government would be education. If everyone was well educated and everyone had that general knowledge, if everyone was generally interested in things, like I've got this, like one of the things about Tech Bandits to me is the idea that inspiration is more important than education. Because I believe that if you are inspired, the education will follow. You will self-educate. You will find the best way to learn what you want to learn. I feel that inspiration is absolutely more important than that. So if we could educate our politicians, if we could educate people about the importance of government, the importance of democracy, the importance of, or maybe not democracy. I mean, again, I obviously I am a believer in democracy. I mean, it's a terrible system, but it's better than all the other ones, as someone once said. But I also feel like we need to be experimenting. We need to see how can we start planning further ahead than 4 years, than a 4-year voting cycle and stuff. So technocracy. Okay, so well, thank you, Imparter. I'm going to look into that because that's a fascinating thing to me. It certainly seems. It seems like something that would certainly interest me. So I'm gonna look into that technocracy. It almost feels a bit Ayn Randian, if that makes sense. It feels a bit like that utopian society where the blacksmiths do the blacksmithing and the engineers do the engineering and it's this perfect society where there's no money, people just exchange it and doesn't work. So. That definitely concerns me a bit, but that's a great question. Okay. Sadly, I will have to listen as I'm on my way to surgery. What? Hope to make the next live stream. Love the hair, by the way. Elizabeth Lee. Well, are you going to get surgery? Are you going to conduct surgery? Are you about to perform surgery, or are you going into surgery? Well, either way, good luck. Actually, yeah, either way, good luck. That argument doesn't work. What's the argument? People are already overeducated for low-wage jobs. What? So we shouldn't educate them? I mean, isn't that? I don't understand. I don't understand where this argument's going. Teach people how to think, not what to think. Yeah, absolutely, Matt. I agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, people should be making up their own minds on things, of course. I worry, I've always had a slight nervousness about the public education system because certainly up here, I feel that it sways, the teachings sway, especially history, seems to sway depending on who is in charge at the time. I worry very much about the idea that the government, while I feel the government should provide an education, I'm very concerned about it mandating curriculum in that education, because I think there's a slippery slope there on stuff. I think you get into a lot of this politically motivated change that isn't that. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other thing. But I do think that I do really feel like a lot of this comes down to education. I mean, I used to believe that communication was the key. That communication was the key to solving all of the problems in the world. That if we all just spoke the same language somehow, which maybe some kind of translation system will allow us to do that in a more fluid and natural way. In fact, what am I saying? When it is able to do that, when we have the true Babelfish program that allows us to do that. I think that will help things immensely and is already helping things. But stepping back even further, though, I think the education is the most important thing. We need to learn about countries that we don't trust. We need to learn about the computer systems and the inherent insecurities of those, about the military establishment, about all that. We need to learn all these things. And I think history, I mean, Baz the other day was saying how boring history was. And I was like, yeah, no, I agree, absolutely agree. I find history can be the boringest thing in the world. Why do you need to know when this happened when you could just go look it up? But that said, it is also a window into the future, because you can learn so much. I was saying to him, we make the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. We're such idiots. The very definition of insanity. We just make the same stupid mistakes over and over again. So if you can go back and look at those mistakes and learn from them, then you are, miles ahead of everyone else already. So critical thinking, problem solving. Yeah, I mean, there is an almost, I'm finding an almost learned helplessness that's a part of this current education system. I feel like I think we're trying to we're trying to connect with the children and understand their concerns during this awkward COVID time and all this kind of stuff. And I think we are projecting a lot of that stuff. This is the norm for them. They don't know anything different. They don't know that every 12 freaking years we don't have a pandemic like this. I mean, Baz has Baz is constantly going like, well, why, why is this different? I mean, it's different for us. It's not different for them. This is just part of them growing up. So I think we have to find a way to communicate with them and inspire them even more than ever. I think now we need to inspire the kids rather than trying to educate them long distance, because the reality is we can't force them to do stuff. They're on freaking computer screens. They can't. They're distracted. They're chatting with each other, which I love. I love hearing my son giggling and chatting with his friends. I think that's important. But I also am desperately trying to find things that will suck him in the way that film and television did for me. Once I got that hook, I was playing Shakespeare. I was reading Shakespeare plays. I was reading books about Montgomery Clift and James Dean and Marlon Brando and Stanislavski and all of these, the filmmaking, Orson Welles. I was just watching movies and learning and just sucking up all the information I possibly could because I was inspired. I don't believe that happens unless you're inspired. I think there's an awful lot of people who go by rote through this educational process. Some of them end up at university, doing what they need to do to get the jobs that they need to get, and are, in many cases, perhaps they are overeducated for what they end up doing. Perhaps because they haven't found that spark. They haven't found that element that gets them excited. And I think that is. I mean, if I can do that for like one freaking child, if you could just get one kid excited about something that then sort of like, burns for the rest of their life, like some kind of excitement, like that, to me, that is, that's exciting. The most amazing compliments I could ever get about my acting have nothing to do with acting. They have to do with someone saying like, oh, you know what? I saw what you were doing and I became like an astrophysicist. Those are like the best. That's where I go, oh my God, that's power. I mean, I think that's what I'm craving when I do this Tech Bandits thing, is I'm craving this. I want people to look back and go like, who's that weird guy with that funky hair that used to bring robots to school and stuff? Like, because now I'm like building, giant, megazords and things that fly to other planets and help colonize, the known solar system, or whatever. Like, I feel like, I guess as I get older, I realize that I want a more direct route to that inspiration than having someone else cast me in a show and then get to play those characters. I mean, I love doing that, by the way, and I do that, and I will continue to do that. I am an actor through and through. I very, very highly doubt I will ever stop doing it, but I am definitely far more excited for the most part on a day-to-day about this Tech Bandit stuff. So anyways, if someone comes to you with a script for a new SGA series, would you want to be a part of it? I can't, Roxanne. I mean, I don't own it, right? I mean, there's people have often talked to me about this stuff, and there's been fan films. I mean, you should absolutely make your own fan films. I really think that's important, frankly. I mean, I think that there's an incredibly talented, like, Stargate group of fans out there who could be making their own stuff. But as soon as it becomes business in any way, then MGM just will crush it. Absolutely. And so if I show up, I don't have the rights to McKay as a character. Like, I can't, I don't think I'd even be allowed to dress up as him and attend conventions, for that matter. Not that I'd want to, to be fair. Those they had the collars. They were very. I didn't like the collars. Anyways, point being, yes, I think your best bet on something like that is either to work in the fan fiction realm, where you can write something like write a little novella of your story. Probably the best route, actually. If you want full control over how to tell an SGA story, then you should be diving into the fan fiction for sure. Because there's some of the stuff, actually, people get paid to write books in some cases. Like there have been books published of Stargate beyond the beyond the series, and licensed by MGM or whatever, or whoever owns the rights to that kind of stuff. So I would definitely do that. I would argue that unless you're specifically focused on filmmaking, like unless you actually want to make the film yourself, then I would consider making it more novella or novel, than film script. But if you want to learn how to write film scripts, it's a great way of doing that too. I mean, I had a good friend of mine, who wrote an absolutely magnificent Stargate episode. I mean, it was early on, so some of it didn't fit entirely with what went after and some of the stuff before, because he wasn't privy to that. But I should get him. I should see if I can get him to. See if I can get it, or if he'd let me share that, because it's just magnificent. This is a fantastic, fun episode that I think you'd get a kick out of. In fact, I'm going to bug him about that. That's on my list. I should have my little book with me so I can write my list of things to do. Okay, what do we got? Take the fan fiction and try to remake the props. Great fun. Well, that's okay. So, Creative VFX Studio, who I already love because you've got the word VFX in there. There are some VFX tools like Red Giant that allow you to do Hollywood effects for student budgets. So the tools are out there. We just need people inspired enough and dedicated enough to actually make this stuff. And as I say, I can't do it. I'm a professional. I'm in unions. I'm in, there are contracts. There are things I cannot do my role. I can't do McKay in another show. In fact, for a little while, I was talking to a guy and his dad about doing a show that they wanted to do, and we would do like a McKay, sort of like a fake McKay, if that makes sense, or just a voiceover or something like that. But it just got weird, and I feel like it's better that if people have a fan film that they want to do, or a film series that they want to do, that they need to run with that. And I think they need to, they shouldn't get into the complication of me involved, because there's too many weird little sort of tar pits of either legal or just weird stuff that I just couldn't make it work. Nice. Do you have like a demo reel or something? Do you have stuff that we can look at? Is there, because that's, I love, like, VFX are like I feel like in another parallel universe, I'm a VFX artist, because I freaking love that stuff. I do tutorials for visual effects programs that I don't own. Like, that's how nerdy I am on that stuff. I just think it's fascinating. In fact, one of the things I'd like to get the kids into is Blender, because it's free. I'm also big on free open source software. So I thought Blender would be a great one to learn, because I just think you could do so much stuff. I watched a tutorial the other day of someone who was modeling one of the, I think it's like a Valorant helmet or something like that. Just fantastic. And then to be able to 3D print that stuff, even better. General advice, says Jimmy. Jim the Evo. I've reduced it to Jim Eva. Okay, so Jim Evo. Jim the Evo says, this is James, by the way. James. Hello, James. Good morning, James. General advice for aspiring TV writers: don't send scripts of the show to the writers. If you love Star Trek, don't send them a Star Trek script. It will go in the bin. Yeah, there's usually a system for, and this is something we should talk about in Writing Bandits. I mean, I should do another Writing Bandits. I should do a Writing Bandits just to talk to like someone in TV or something. In fact, maybe I'll bother my genius friend about that and see if I can drag him into this mix. But yeah, generally you don't want to send scripts for the show to the show that you want to be writing for. You can use those scripts to send to other shows, because often people like the idea of a sample script for just to get you a sense of how you write for an existing show type thing. So there's often, it's often a good idea to have like a spec script that you write for a show that is on the air now. Don't write one that was like 1,000 years old. Watch a season of a show. Ideally, watch a season of the show and then write something for the second season. That would probably be the smartest way of going. The other thing is that the further you get into a show, probably the more chance there is that you could get in there for episodes. It was not that way with Stargate. Stargate had a group of writers, and that was basically it. That little pool of writers was what it is. They would bring people in every so often, but for the most part, it was just them. And they were quite protective of that. That was their, this is their bread and butter. It's their business. They don't want other people coming in and taking one of their scripts. So But a lot of other shows are very different that way, where you get to season 3 or 4 and they start looking out for what else is out there type thing. So, but definitely, I would say watch that first season of a show, get a really good sense of it, read everything there is to read about it, get like in absolutely immerse yourself. That's why it's always a good idea to do one that you like, or even I would argue potentially do one that you don't necessarily like, but that is the right kind of writing that you want to do, because I think then you can, the whole point of trying to become a writer in television is about how do you take someone else's ideas and that great amount of knowledge and lore that exists about a show, and how do you process that and turn that into a great script. So absolutely a great way to go for that. You also generally need an agent. I hate to say it, but there's so many people who think they're writers out there, including myself. And I say that sort of partially jokingly. I don't consider myself a writer. I really don't. I have written, but I don't consider myself a writer. That is a job. That is a tough freaking job. And it takes a certain type of personality for. But I think I've said this before. There is going to be a boom in the film industry, in film and television. There is going to be there is such a backlog of stuff to make right now. I would not want to be someone trying to get into the writing portion of this industry right now, because, tough love here. Everyone and their mother and their mother's dog and pet hedgehog have written scripts or started podcasts since the pandemic happened. There is going to be a massive glut of content out there to be made. Literally, they're going to be just swimming in scripts and spec scripts and all this kind of stuff. I think your best bet at this point now would be to do something that you have complete control over, like a self-published novel or a published novel, even better if you can. But if you can take your Stargate script and turn that into a little book, a little fan fiction book or something that you could perhaps sell or whatever you want to do with it. But I think that would be a better approach right now, because trying to get people to read scripts is going to be really difficult. It would be difficult for even me, having written scripts and had them made into movies. I think it would be difficult for me to get something out right now, honestly. So I would, if you can, and if you can sort of suck it in and say, like, maybe now's not the best time. I'm not saying it wouldn't happen. It's possible. There's always a possibility. That's a horrible thing about the film industry, is you never know. Things, like, surprises happen. Look at me. I'm working. How weird is that? The face like this and a lack of hair, they still hire me. But I think right now, if you want to get into writing, you should be writing for yourself at this point, because I think it's going to be very, very hard to get stuff read. But that said, learn how to do prop making, learn how to do visual effects. Talk to our VFX guy here. How do you get into it? How do you start making this stuff? Because they're going to be making it, which means there's going to be a lack of people. There aren't going to be enough people to work on the stuff that they want to do. There aren't going to be enough visual effects artists. There aren't going to be enough, prop makers and script supervisors. And script supervisors is a fantastic way into the industry, because you are sitting with the director every single hour, minute, second of the day. You are looking at that screen. You are reading the scripts. You are breaking them down. There's nothing, I think, that could teach you more about the film industry on set than being a script supervisor. It takes a certain type of personality, for sure, but that is a fantastic into the industry. So look up script supervisor. Because you will learn about how scripts are written, what scripts are good, what scripts are bad. You'll learn about timing and editing. You'll learn about working with directors and crews. You'll get a technical understanding. You're dealing with actors, because you're walking up and going like, Mr. Hewlett, you screwed up every single one of your lines. Could you try that again? You're in there in the thick of things, and you're learning the entire time. So I would definitely, if you can, get yourself set up with something like that. And there are courses. You can just go and take a course on script Jane?
Yeah?
What's it called? Script coordinator, right? Script supervisor?
Supervisor, isn't it?
Script supervisor. Okay, so script supervisor. Go take a course in script supervising, because honestly, that is a job that is, first off, very difficult to find good people. I mean, there are a lot of script supervisors, not a lot of brilliant script supervisors. Also, it's the one that I see people, it's a great way to,
All become direct.
and they all become directors. Yeah, I mean, because you're immersed, completely immersed in the process of making film and television, completely immersed. From the, like, when do they start, Jane? Do they start at the beginning of filming?
They start like a week before, a couple of days before, and they time it.
Right. Okay. So yeah, so you're in a little bit early. So you're in a little bit for pre-production where you'll go through the script and you'll basically with a stopwatch go like, I wonder how long this is going to take. And then when they don't anticipate that I'm going to speak so fast, so they tend to be like way too long. But so they'll time the entire script. They'll break down the whole script. It's all about like an eye for detail. There's a lot of technology now that there wasn't available. Now lots of little programs to like to capture frames and make notes and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of fun stuff to be playing with there. I think a lot of the new people that I've seen come up are too immersed in the technology and miss the trees for the forest. And they miss all the little specifics that you need, and they spend so long trying to go back and look things up that it can be difficult. But that would be a great entry point into the industry, and you are thrown straight into it with that, because you would literally do a course on it, take a course on it, read everything you can about it, see every interview you can about script supervising, and then take the course, and I almost guarantee you will get hired, because it's student films, from student films to short films to features, low budget features, always looking for good script supervisors. And you can really cut your teeth on that stuff. Anyway, so I'm completely babbling. Now I want to be a script supervisor. You and Jane are so cute. Well, Jane's cute. She handles the cute. I handle the annoying. Is there tech banditry this afternoon? I thought I might, Jim. I mean, I haven't organized anything, James, but I thought, 4:00. I would probably hop on and do some tech banditry, say hi to the kids. In fact, I might go on a little early. In fact, I will go on early. And then I can get some chatting in as well. Okay, so I really, I mean, is it really an entry-level job? It kind of is, Falcone. I mean, it's truly one of the hardest, it's one of the hardest things to place on films, to get a good script supervisor. Very, very difficult, or it was. I mean, maybe that's changed, but the speed of chat is very, very fast. I dream to be part of a show and make people dream like SGA made me dream as a kid. Well, Roxanne, there you go, script supervisor, get in there. I speak faster than McKay. I don't know about that. Jane has all the answers. It's true. Jane does have all the answers. I did prop making for theater in TAF. It kind of sucked. What do you mean? You didn't like it? Theater, though. That's not as exciting, though, is it? I mean, like, the fun thing about the film stuff is that, I mean, no offense to theater. I'm not a theater guy. I like film and television. I always have. I always preferred film. I respect theater. The only theater I go to is sort of spectacular theater. I feel like I almost want to I think of, as long as the theater is somewhat circusy to me, I'm into it. Like, but I don't like the sort of the kitchen sink drama stuff. I pop in and out of the SpaceX stuff. I gotta brush up on it because my tech bandits might want to know about it. My gosh, I'm silly, apparently, says Dark's Pocket. You've got charisma for days, David. That's why people want you. Maybe that's it. It's all about charisma, baby. Hey, baby, it's all about charisma. There's a lot of ways to self-publish these days. Yeah, I mean, look, the thing about self-publishing is it's not just about writing the book and getting it out there. Big deal. You got a book on Amazon. Well done. I mean, well done, but that's just where the work really begins, because that's when you got to start. You need to be cultivating. I mean, I think James touched on this in Writing Bandits before, but you need to be cultivating relationships in writing communities, in film communities, in all sorts of stuff. I mean, there's just you need to be out there getting people interested in what you're doing. And writing is a weirdly solitary thing that then requires a massive output of social and communicating and trying to get out there. So I worked alongside the BBC as a location advisor and liaison officer for 6 months when they were filming a TV series in our area and got to see behind the curtain. Oh, that's cool, Larry. So as a location advisor, oh, that's cool. That's great. Yeah. I mean, look, location stuff is pretty neat too. Promotion and marketing is tough. Yeah, especially writers, because writers like me, you don't like to promote yourself. A lot of stuff on Amazon doesn't go through an editor either. It can be pretty bad. Yeah, sardonic spirals, something that James Crowscratch, who I spoke to on the first writing bandits, was saying that the first and only writing bandits so far was saying that despite numerous self-edits, relentless, ruthless self-edits of his own stuff, he splurged on an editor to have someone go through it and copyright everything. No, copyright? Is that right? Are they copywriters? Is that what it's called? But he had an editor go through and just make sure that they have that final pass on stuff. So, and even then, things slip through. But yes, absolutely. If you want to self-publish, for God's sake, make sure that it's being more than just read by a family member. You need a proper edit on that stuff. Jane's dad was amazing at it. Jane's dad was just meticulous on this stuff, and we used to give him stuff to read through, and he was fantastic at that. Miss that guy. I have a great book idea. No one has done yet. Got an entire book series idea in my head. It's just writing it. Yeah, that's it. Tensalina. Look, again, not to be brutal, but ideas, dime a dozen. In your head, it's freaking perfect. But getting it on paper, that's the trick. And paper, I mean electronic, you know what I mean? It's the number of people who I've met in this industry who've said oh, Terminator, I had that idea like 2 months before that came out. I had this whole idea about a robot going back in time. And I was like, yeah, but that's even if you had that idea, even if you had that script, it doesn't end with the idea. The idea is just the very beginning of this stuff. I mean, you have to, it's like engineering. You have the idea. You go, how is it going to work? You map out how it's going to work. You write it down. I mean, if you've got a great idea, then you need to write it down. It is purely, what do they say? Plans without action are dreams. I mean, and I'm saying this as someone who does the same thing. Oh my God, the ideas. Oh, so many ideas. Look at me. I'm freaking ADHD all over the place. I squirrel all over the place with this stuff. But the reality is that you have to find what you're going to write about. You have to engineer a structure for it that works. And then you need to do the work. And the work is it's just like pulling fingernails. It's just horrible. But there you go. I've tried it before, but I'm lacking the writing skills. Building tension and having a structure is very difficult. Yeah, Tarvin, everything's really difficult unless you do it all the time. I mean, there's any skill, you have to do it every freaking day. Crowscratch, Jimmy, and his Tales from the Haunted Library series. He's working on book 6. That guy writes 1,000 words a day, no matter what, whether his dad dies or his dog dies or he's sick or there's a pandemic or he's depressed or he's hungover or whatever. That guy writes 1,000 freaking words every day. 1,000 well thought, well edited words. And he still goes back and throws out 3/4 of it while he's editing. I mean, that's what you have to do. It is absolutely, Shan, absolutely. It's a muscle. It's absolutely a muscle. I mean, he and I differ a little bit on this stuff, and he's a writer and I'm not, point out. But, what worked for me was I had to write 15 minutes a day. That was it. 15 minutes. Come on, 15. Who can't write for 15 minutes? Be amazed. It's just about getting into that schedule. After you start writing 15 minutes, you don't write 15 minutes. You write for freaking an hour. You write for 2 hours, you write 10 hours, whatever. The point is sitting down for that 15 minutes every day makes a huge, huge difference. And in some cases, I just be like, I am writing. Here I am writing. I'm writing about, and then as you do it more and more, you realize that that this is a skill that you pick up as you go along. You get better and better at it. It's like learning lines, man. I suck at learning lines. Still suck at learning lines. Just have to do it over and over and over and over and over again. The scene doesn't sing until you've got all the lines, and until the lines just fall out of your mouth without even thinking about them. So, yeah, it's work. It's all work. Writing is all work. It is so little about inspiration. there's this like procrastination that kicks in where you go like, oh, I got a better idea. I'm going to go start this one. You know, the number of like things that I've started and haven't finished, like sentences, but is just ridiculous. Oh my God, it's almost 45. I've been going for, oh geez, I'm talking way too long. Yeah, I wish I had a pensive like well, you know what there is, sardonic spirals. There's Google, like just talk to it and it will type the words for you. You know, I mean, like this is there's so many tools out there. You know, you don't have to sit there like this. You can pontificate into your iPhone and then have a program go and put it all into text for you. And you just go back and edit it. I mean, that's what Baz does with his schoolwork now. That's genius to me. I mean, why not? I mean, I am much better at speaking than I am at writing. Well, some people would question that, I suppose. LOL, we love you. We'd keep you all day if we could. I would talk all day if I could. Wow. What about when you get caught in Ronan's tree trap and Super Ford walks up and says, well, look at you. Well, I'm in a hazmat suit. So it was very comfortable. No, what's going on? A good way of practice to write anything. Start a journal or diary. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Journal, diary. I mean, I think the only problem with a journal or a diary is that there's not a focus to it, if that makes sense. If you just love writing and you just want to write a journal, then by all means, what a great thing to do. I think it's fantastic. And who knows, maybe ideas will come out of that. But my concern with a diary or a journal is that part of this skill is the focus, is being able to focus on that one idea and continue that one idea. I mean, some people have multiple ideas and can work on multiple things. I can't. I have to be like, I'm one of those people who, like, if the script isn't written in 10 days, it's never going to get written. I have to vomit out the idea onto paper, and then go back and just edit the crap out of it. And I'm ruthless. I cut, I'll write for 14 days, cut half of it and start again. I mean, like I'm brutal on that stuff when I do it. And it's one of the reasons why I don't like it. I don't like it. I love dreaming and coming up with ideas and stuff. And I love Tech Bandits because I get to take existing or soon to exist technology and sort of pontificate about where it can go and discuss it with kids. And I mean, that's why I love it. So, oh, great. Creative VFX Studio and I are going to chat. Very good. Did you do any writing for SGA? No, I tried to. I pitched them on a couple of shows. We had a really fun little, I called it Local Hero episode, which was basically, I don't know if you know the movie Local Hero, but the idea is that like a big oil company comes in and basically offers to buy the village, and then it's just the debate as to whether everyone wants to be a freaking multimillionaire, but do they want to give up this beautiful part of the world in the process? Let me get some coffee. So that was a little overzealous with that. Might have gone up my nose. So my idea was that Stargate arrives. So the Atlantis crew arrives, and this little island has ZPMs, has numerous ZPMs, and we obviously will trade with them, magical technologies from obviously from Atlantis and from Earth that would revolutionize the lives of these people. And all they have to do is just give up these ZPMs. But giving up the ZPMs basically threatens the existence of this little island. So it was Jane and me, actually. We came up with the idea. That's what we pitched. But Brad Wright felt that they had already done something like that. Again, I don't think they were particularly open to other people's ideas. I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't blame them at all. Like, it's their show. I mean, like, why do they? Yeah, that's great. Thanks, kid. And we're not there for that. We're there to act. We're there to make their lines sing. And very quickly I got the sense that while I could force the issue, I probably could have forced them to consider a script. I probably could have forced them to make me direct. But I just felt like, if you have to force them, like, I don't want that. I want people behind me helping, like, lifting me up rather than trying to drag me down. So yeah. I have a notepad full of ideas. Finding the motivation or time to flesh them out, it gets tough. Yeah. But this is it. I mean, I think the reality is, a podcast about how to write would basically be this. Write. Just freaking write. There's always a reason not to write. There's always a reason why you can't do something or you don't do something. The thing I struggle with And the reason why, again, the Tech Bandits has come to the forefront. I worked with Guillermo del Toro on 3 films now, Jesus. And amazing guy who just says, like, you have to do what you love. Like, you just have, and it's not even like you have a choice. Like, if you love it, it's the only thing you can do. You'll die if you don't. But for some reason, all of us, myself included, tend to put the things that they feel are the most important in their lives off. We put it off. We're like, oh, I gotta write this novel. I've got this brilliant novel idea, and I've gotta write it. I gotta find some time to write it. And you do your day, and you do all this boring, stupid crap every day. You waste your time. You watch Netflix. You skip through TikTok or whatever. You waste all this time, and then and you put off doing the stuff that's the most important to you to the end of the day. It's the last thing. It's always the thing. It's the one thing you know you can push, and so you do. And I feel like we need to just go whoop, and just reverse that. And like get up in the morning. The first thing you do is the writing, or the first thing you do in the morning is is learning how to make your prop stuff, or the first thing you do in the morning is to learn how to become a script supervisor. Whatever it is, I think if the pandemic teaches you nothing else, it's that we should sit back every so often and look at our lives and figure out how we want them to go, instead of just reacting to what's happening as they go along, which is how I live my life. My entire life has just been about reacting to what happens. What I love about Tech Bandits, I think, for me, is that it gives me a sense of purpose, of to the regular interest or regular focus that I can concentrate on. The question is how to do without going broke in the process, as Jane points out, is always the most important part. So a lot of research in business right now, which I'm really enjoying as well, I've got to say. So, but I think that's the thing, is I think there's always, and again, I'm not saying this like you guys are idiots for thinking this way. I am exactly the same. I don't write because I know that I will put it off. I mean, the only way I write is if it's like, there's a movie. We need to make a movie. What have I got? What have I got available to me that will allow me to make this movie? And then I will write a movie based on that. That's the only way I work. I'm also not interested in selling scripts anymore because I've just had disastrous times with it. I'm so jealous of James, because James is capable of writing these huge amounts of amazing stories, and then just puts them, and then it's like they're his. He could put whatever pictures he wants on them. He could publish them any way he wants. I mean, I just like that is brilliant. And go check him out, by the way. Go to Amazon right now. Go to Amazon right now and type in Tales from the Haunted Library, Crow Scratch, and go and buy his books. Because even if you don't read them, just support him, because this is a guy who inspires me, and I think will inspire you. Just amazing guy. Anyways, already done it. Oh, great, Warland. Thank you very much. You're the best. That's fantastic. Okay. Everybody has to go to work and don't get to do what we want. I am so glad you got to be McKay. Yeah, I mean, but this is the thing, Lucretia, is and again, my life is very different. I understand that I am very fortunate. I am incredibly privileged in this regard, because I was very, very lucky to get into the industry when I did. And it allowed me to make a career out of this. I don't kid myself. There is a vast majority of luck involved in what I have quote unquote achieved. It's important to be good. It's important. It's amazing how lucky you can be when you're good at something. This happens to be my thing. I've also done a lot of it, so I tend not to knock too many cameras over anymore. But I understand that my life is very, very different than a lot of other people's lives. But, if you read Stephen King on writing, that guy was going home after a long, freaking, boring, horrible job and writing some of the best novels of our generation, basically. So, although he thinks of another generation, but you know what I mean. There are no excuses. Like, you are the problem. You are always the problem. I am always the problem. I'm the problem now. But it really comes down to that. I'm not saying beat yourself up about it. It's either write and enjoy it, or don't write and don't kick yourself about it. There's no point. And that's what I found. I was feeling guilty for not writing. And then I was like, I don't want to write. Like, I don't want to write. It's not what I do. It's not my thing. Will I do it? Yes, I'll do it when I have to. Maybe I'll do it again. I don't know. But it's just not my, that's not the fire that keeps me going. But if you want it to become that, then you just have to do it. And this sounds so ridiculously stupid, sort of platitudes, but there is no other way around it for writing. It's not about being inspired to write. It's not about like, oh, I'm in the mood, here I go, because those happen rarely. You get a lot more done if you just write every day, and you write stuff you think is terrible. And the reality is when you go back and read it over, you can't tell the difference between the days that were good and the days that were bad. So there you go. All right, I'm gonna shut up now. Because, I got things to do, like sort out Tech Bandits for today. I got to figure out what we're going to talk about. I think we're going to talk about this. A friend of mine reached out the other day about Enable, which is this amazing story and now organization that 3D prints hands for people with partial limbs and war victims and the like. So it's a community of 3D printers basically that print 3D hands and then send them off to people who need them or do them for people locally or whatever. So, and he was looking to interview someone for a show that they're doing, and so I was helping out, did a little research, started looking at, tried to reach out to a few of these organizations in the hopes of maybe getting him a contact that he could talk to. But in going through the story, I was like, oh my God, I remember all of this stuff. I remember the cosplay. They first went out, they did this little cosplay thing, little cosplay hand. I remember it because I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then he got in touch with a guy who'd had an accident and had lost, I don't know whether it was all of his fingers or maybe just one finger, or I don't know what the deal was, a guy in South Africa. And then they teamed up to come up with an idea. And then a parent of a kid who had, I think, partial limbs or a partial limb or something, got in touch with them and said, hey, is there something we could do for him? And then that evolved into this amazing community that does this. So I thought I would try to figure out if there was a local Toronto chapter and if there's anything maybe the Tech Bandits can be doing to help with that. So there you go. Gorilla Danish. What a fantastic name. If I feel both hungry and amused at the same time. Awesomeness on the helping out. All right. Don't worry about being good. No one's good at first. Everything sucks at first. Jesus, don't look at my early acting. It's terrible. I always feel sorry for these movie stars who get their big role out of the blue, and all of a sudden they're thrown into the spotlight and they've done one film in their life. It's I would always be like, oh my God. I remember my first stuff and I was like, Jesus, who knew what those eyebrows, where are they going? It's like my face exploded every time there was a close-up. You learn this stuff as you go along, which, speaking of which, oh my God, I have a friend who got in touch from years and years and years ago, and I have to call her. She called me on Thursday and I haven't called her back, and I feel awful because the last time she called, I didn't call her back. Okay, I got to do that now. Good thinking. All right, everybody. Be safe, be kind, be brilliant. If you want to write. If you don't want to write, don't beat yourself up about it. That's fine. Do something else. That's cool. It's no big deal. Just make sure that you're the only one who can tell you that stuff. You know what I mean? If it's gonna be at the back of your mind bothering you the whole time, then frickin' write something because you'll feel so much better. And as I say, I think I'm gonna talk to someone about this script supervisor stuff too, because that seems like a really good way in. To the film industry right now. So I'm gonna see if I can maybe dig up a script supervisor or something to talk to. I have an AD you should talk to too. That's a tough one to get into though, because you start doing some pretty wretched jobs to start, then you slowly work your way up. But anyways, I will say a fair and adieu. I will say until we geek again, a cheerio and huzzah! And I'll see you hopefully tomorrow, because that means I will have exercised again. Bye. I can't stop it. I can't stop the stream.